This could be an environment that you're in. And this could be could have to do with a Leo, potentially. I'm gonna adjust the camera just a little bit. You guys can see I kind of have different filming setups. Here we go, much better. I'm gonna move this other deck, move these up because I want to get some clarifying cards here for each of these themes. Yeah, this thing keeping you stuck from your happiness, causing significant defeat and delay, something that is causing you to just be of multiple minds, something you're just having a hard time with making a decision, a very hard time. You could be in an environment that is making the process of decision making very difficult. Are you trying to please somebody? Are you trying to people please someone, whether it's like family or something like that? There's like expectations you're trying to live up to that aren't even properly aligned for your path going forward for the rest of your life. Let's clarify the Fool reversed. Oof. Yeah, so I think this card, so both these cards are reversed essentially. We have the Emperor reversed, Queen of Swords reversed. This is something that has really hurt your confidence. Could be like an element of neglect. Something that made you feel invisible, which is making it very difficult for you to make decisions for yourself, because if you at the core were made to feel like in some kind of way, or in this situation specifically, that you know you're invisible, how is an invisible person going to make a decision about themselves, you know? How will you make a decision about yourself if you don't fully exist or wasn't fully acknowledged in some important way? Queen of Swords reversed here. This could be clarifying the Sun. Let's clarify Ten of Swords and Two of Swords. A lot of sword energy. So this is like mental pain. Something that's causing mental anguish for you. Let's clarify Ten of Swords. Ooh, that one wants to come out. There's some kind of communication you're not getting. And then, yeah, heavy Leo energy. And then all these cards are reversed. A lot of reversals. And then we also have Seven of Swords reversed. So basically this is something that has cut off your confidence. You have clearly been in some sort of situation or environment that has basically cut your autonomy off. So instead of you making decisions for yourself, you have some sort of internal programming running in the background or at the core of you that's always kind of looking back. What does the family think? What does your spouse think? What will your current job think? What will your previous job think? You know, if you, for example, were recently let go and now you're looking for new work, but you're worried about how that we're just going to get back to your previous job. Basically, you are tethered mentally to some sort of traditional beliefs that do not work. It doesn't work for you. Situation where your confidence has been crushed, essentially. And it's not allowing you to strategize. It's like keeping you stuck. It's like you don't want to disappoint. You're more concerned about disappointing people in situations outside of you that don't even view you the way you believe they view you based on how you were treated or spoken to, whether this is recently or a long time, however the situation is resonating specifically for you, but you're more worried about disappointing perceptions of you that actually don't even exist, but were like imprinted on you based on certain circumstances, certain events with these people that you don't want to disappoint. When in all reality, you're working backwards, you're hustling all the way backwards on yourself because you need to make decisions that will not disappoint you. And in order to do that, you need to acknowledge yourself at the core as someone important. You need to make yourself and your approval the most important. That is the key with this situation, my dear fellow Aries. Because with all of this wand and sword energy, this is giving like, say the specific example is with family. Maybe growing up, you could have experienced corporal punishment for things that were like not even, you didn't deserve it, basically. It wasn't even needed. It wasn't called for. But to the person who did it, it was just another day, just another way to kind of, like, they're exhausted, they want to do something else, so the quickest way at that moment, as wrong as it may have been, but whatever, at that moment was to enact corporal punishment, get you to be quiet and just kind of go away so they can relax. But you, as a kid, internalized it as, wow, you're a burden, there's something wrong with you, you're bad, you are not worthy of attention, when that wasn't even what really happened. That wasn't even the situation. Now, as a child, of course, you're going to believe that. And as you grew up, that turned into so many other maladaptive behaviors, things like that. But if you try to sit, acknowledge yourself and how you felt as real, and then take a bigger lens out of that situation or situations, you'll realize, no, you weren't hated. No, you aren't a burden. You never were. No, you're not annoying. Yes, you are worthy of attention. It's just that particular day, that person was exhausted. They were at their capacity, but you were a kid and could not recognize that because you were a kid. So, like, it's your first time living. And you're not going to understand adult themes of exhaustion after work and things like that. And so that created this negative script in you that proliferated throughout your life. And now this negative script has turned into you have to hide, you have to be quiet in order to survive, things like that. Stemming from that one event. And now that you're older and you're faced with certain decisions to make, it's become very difficult to figure out the next step because instead, it's like that particular thing created a trauma essentially instead of it just being something that, is brushed off. And then the next day, you're getting dinner and all this, and it seems like everything's fine, but on the inside, little you is in turmoil, and the adult can't necessarily tell because they're still exhausted and still trying to just get through life and stuff. What was insignificant and forgotten for them turned into something very significant and a very negative set of internal scripts that are really the internal scripts of a small child. So instead of it being you at whatever age you are, you're still operating on the script of a small child who understandably, but incorrectly, but still incredibly understandably, believed that something was wrong with them. They are bad. They should be quiet. They should, shut down. They should not speak. They should hide. And of course, when you're an adult, well, that turns into a lot of situations that are very difficult. It can turn into even more traumatic situations because that conversation between the adult and you never happened. The I'm sorry never came, or it came far too late, where that trauma and those negative scripts had time to marinate, right? So this could be a situation you're dealing with, and that is why it's resulting in this Seven of Swords reversed. The inability to strategize because you don't know how to strategize. You haven't acknowledged yourself fully as a person. You're still running off the script of a small child who is trying to stay safe because the adult just did not think about the impact and that kind of thing. They were bogged down. You seemed fine because you had to seem fine. And well, life kept on, but that wound festered. It festered. The antibiotics never came, bro. And then it started having pus and oozing and smelling and then you do all these other maladaptive behaviors to cover it up with a bandage and make it seem like you're okay because you have to, because you're scared, because you're still trying to hide. You need to come out of hiding. You've got to come out of hiding. And that happens by acknowledging that, you know what? That was an event that, yes, was significant, but you can change your perspective on past situations. And this goes for, say a spouse. The beginning of your relationship is great, and then they become meaner and meaner, and you're not sure what's going on. And so you're walking on eggshells, trying to do everything for this person to keep them happy. You're thinking maybe it's work, maybe it's their family that's happening and they're having issues. And it just can explode into a very negative situation, right? When it comes to work, you could apply the same situation to work. Basically, you are still working under the framework of fear, number one, and invisibility. Invisibility and fear. And those are two anchoring themes and scripts that need to be tossed away. I get the sense that you are still in an environment or returned to an environment where something negative happened, or you're still in that relationship, or like I said earlier, there are multiple ways this could resonate for you. But get rid of the fear, get rid of the shame, because there's nothing to be ashamed of, and try to rewire your brain. The best way to rewire your brain to get rid of those scripts is to do the thing that's scary. Be seen, be heard, be loud, be present. And then pair that with, it's like exposure therapy essentially. You need exposure therapy But before you can get to the exposure part, whatever that looks like for you, you're going to have to look at that framework. You have negative scripts going on in your head telling you things that hurt your confidence. Everything negative you say about yourself in your head, in your heart, is a fear program. And it's not true at all. You're gonna be fine. Let's go ahead and get some more information on what things look like once you get past these scripts. And the thing is, you're gonna have to really drill in that new sensation into your body. You could still have like this sense of fear, your heart quickening, things like that, but it's not gonna happen again. It's not. It's not. You have to change the framework of the way you see yourself. You are not invisible. You are actually the number one and only person that you need to seek your own approval from. Number one. Two, you do not need to hide unless you're actively, obviously in a situation where you need to hide. You don't need to hide. Being seen does not equate to danger anymore. And you'll have to kind of work to figure out the best way to break your nervous system out of that. Because the thing is, it's not going to be a one-time thing where like, wow, you have this realization and great. If you've been living for years and years and it's festered into things like depression, anxiety, agoraphobia, etc., you're going to have to do things frequently and repetitively that break up your nervous system, because your nervous system feels safest hiding, staying inside, not going outside, not talking to other people, because your brain has associated with those scripts from bad events that being seen as bad, you're invisible, you don't deserve to be considered. Just stay put and be quiet. Just be quiet. When it's not true. If it was a childhood situation, that was in childhood. That's not the same anymore. It's not. And oftentimes when parents get older, depending on the kind of relationship you have with your parent, how much, communication you have with your caregivers and stuff after things have happened years and years later and whatnot, some people definitely can still default back to, oh, well, I still see them as a little kid. And you know what? The last time that I wanted them to be quiet about something, then I just, did or said that very hurtful thing. And then that's like re-traumatizing you again and like reinforcing these negative scripts that were like from a child. That's your child scared self. But it's not true anymore. It's like your child scared self has kind of stayed the core of your identity instead of you growing up on the inside the way you have on the outside. You have to update that script. And it doesn't have to be a whole, let me meditate and see my inner child, or see myself when I was in that marriage that wasn't good, or see myself when I was in that really toxic workplace that was unlike anything I've ever been in before, but it really did a number on me. You don't have to like keep re-injuring yourself by reimagining and remembering, forcing yourself to remember these things and like breaking the loop from there. That's hard to do, because if you're reimagining and remembering all these things, you're gonna have to work to actively break that loop anyway. So like kind of don't force yourself to go back to that loop, you know what I'm saying? The way you break the loop and break the programming is to do the opposite. If you're agoraphobic because of these, layered beliefs and whatnot, every day when you wake up, first thing you're going to do, quickly wash your face. Don't even think about it. Head outside, walk around your house. Outside. Walk outside around the house. It's the first thing you're going to do. You are going to hit your brain as soon as possible with a huge hit of dopamine and serotonin. Best way to do that, get outside. And your body, since you are a mammal, everyone's an animal, right? We're all mammals. As soon as your brain registers the green, well, it's wintertime right now, even though it's kind of summer, whatever, you're going to register the nature outside. You're going to see the animals and other little squirrels and things. You need to be in nature. You need to blast your brain immediately with outside exposure if you're agoraphobic. That doesn't mean you have to go and put on the best thing that you've got in the closet and head on over to Miami and Wynwood and make sure you try to catch Beyonce at Wynwood. No. No, you don't have to do all that. You can work up to that one day, but you don't have to do all of that. You literally are going to break the loop by by exposure. As soon as you wake up, after going to bed, break the loop. You're going to get up, throw some random clothes on. I don't care if it's a hoodie, whatever. Just throw something on that's comfortable and safe. Put some safe shoes on. Head outside, even if it's for a minute or two. Because again, you're just starting your day. But get outside. Go outside. You have to. That's going to break the loop. That's going to break it. And then before you know it, you know how when you wake up and you, especially if you're someone who's survived trauma and things, when you first wake up, you can immediately begin replaying and start saying, don't want to do this today, da-da-da-da. Whatever your immediate negative thoughts and memories are, it's like a framework. Your brain is stuck in that loop over and over again. Okay, we get up, we get through the day, however, or whatever, and then, we're gonna immediately start these thoughts all over again. That's why you have the same repetitive thoughts over and over and over again, because your nervous system is still operating in the framework that reinforces that same situation that created the negative script in the first place. So in order to shock your system out of it, you gotta break that loop. And you're doing it. You're clicking this video, by the way, is one of the first steps you're making to break the loop. You're here seeking out tarot, and you've joined this amazing community of about 4,000 people because you know you need to break the loop. You're kind of going mentally, you're mentally just going and frantic mentally. That's why you saw this video. You were like, hey, your brain saw something, was like, ooh, that's gonna help. That could help. Let me click on it. And now you're talking, with me, and we're discussing breaking the loops of trauma and things. Amazing. Amazing. Look at that. Look at you. You're proud of yourself. Now, so I know these cards look scary at first, but no, it's just describing the situation, that's all. What else does my lovely Aries need to know? What else does my lovely Aries need to know? Let it go. Like Elsa. Yeah, you're going through shadow work, for sure. All right, I see. First of all, I want to say, and if you've looked at other videos here, I don't think this card has ever come out. Yeah, your brain is in this state. Every time you go back through another traumatic loop, which, believe me, I personally firsthand understand. I know it's very hard. It takes a lot of hard work in your head and in your heart all day, every single day, every day. I know it's exhausting, but this is kind of basically the best like physical representation of what's happening to your body. Your body, when you keep replaying these loops of not getting outside, of just staying on social media all day, every day, and just staying in bed all day, every day, sometimes rest can be bad. Like if you're resting and you're intaking a lot of negative information all day long, your brain cannot recognize that, like, at the forefront, you may be thinking, I'm just chilling out at home. I'm looking at, whatever social media, and that's whatever. And I'm just chilling. I'm resting. No, you're not. You're putting your brain and your body into this major, like, overload, this unnecessary drama, and it builds up to where you start, like, freaking out about everything. It's like you're putting your body consistently through multiple false alarms when you don't break the loop. Now, there is a time for rest. I don't want you to believe, like, oh my God, the rest of your life, especially if you're someone who's trauma informed or a survivor, whatever it is, my darling. No, this does not mean forever, all day, every day. You have to just really, really fight. No, that's exhausting. No, you don't have to do that. The thing that we're working toward is a general sense of evenness, just being even keel. That is what breaking the loop is. That is what rewiring is. It's not constantly, all day, every day, searching for, okay, let me do this, let me do that, da 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 da. Because then at that point it turns into running away from, these memories and somatic memories that inevitably do come up. The thing is learning how to cope around them so that they become quieter and quieter and fade and fade. And it doesn't mean that life isn't going to happen and that you'll never see or hear or experience, like mentally, you're not going to go through certain stuff again. It's okay. But it doesn't mean that life is not going to kind of, touch those triggers again. It will. But the thing is to break the loop and remember where you are physically, currently. You're not still in that place. You're not still undergoing those things. It is not the same. You are not there wherever it happened. You're not. That is what it is. Breaking that loop. Proud of you. Okay, let's see. What else? What else? What else? What else? What else? Take time to recharge. By the way, I want to remind you that the more you break that loop, especially first thing in the morning and when you're going to bed, those are two of the toughest times for any survivors of anything negative, whatever it is. In the morning, you need to hit that brain with some dopamine and serotonin immediately. Get outside. That's the quickest way. It's quicker than making a cup of coffee that's going to make you jittery and stuff. It's the quickest way. Get outside, look at greenery, move your body, Even if you're walking slow, 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 that's cool. You're still moving forward. And then you are forced to physically orient to what is actually around you and not what your brain is still like remembering, kind of like your brain being a drill sergeant in a way. So that is the best way to immediately, when you wake up every day, break that loop, break it. And you don't have to do like a long walk, but if you get outside, it's gonna force your body to. We're all mammals. The fact that your brain is miraculously having you remember these things, it's throwing up all these false alarms to train you. However, you don't need the training anymore. You remember what happened. You remember how you can react now and all these things. You don't need that training. Your body needs rest. Your body needs homeostasis, right? And so, when you're going to bed, the best way to break that loop, especially if like a bedroom is a place where, some trauma had happened, best way to do that is to have, some nice calming music, make yourself very, very tired essentially. Get some nice warm tea into your body. Get yourself sleepy, 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 and associate the room with safety. The issue is that your body and nervous system might not associate where you sleep, even if it's a new environment, but you're still having, flashbacks and things. Your brain has not associated that room with sleep and rest and safety. So the best way to do that is you're gonna have to dopamine trick out that room. Well, okay, not dopamine, but basically make it a space that you're happy in anytime you walk into it during the day, whether it's adding plants, things like that, and make it a place safe for rest. And there are multiple ways to do that, whether you like to have some white noise in the background, or if you like to have some lo-fi playing in the background, or jazz, whatever your brain associates rest and peace with and safety, that's going to be the thing for you. Nice. What else does my lovely one need to know for my Aries? What else? Breadcrumbing. Interesting. Give minimal attention to these memories as much as you can. That doesn't mean push them away, because we both know that the more you try to push that stuff away, it kind of like trips a wire in your brain. Like, why are you making me not remember these things? What's happening? Da 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 da. And then it just really makes you remember something even harder and worse. Not good. So try to just acknowledge, yeah, I remember that happened. Thank you, brain, for reminding me. Thank you for reminding me of that. I'm here now instead. Break the loop. And the more you break the loop, funny enough, the less you'll think of it. Truly. So, you could actually have a little bit of there's a secret admirer around you. New message. Oh, never mind, sorry. I mean, that could be something for you. But since we're on this topic, and this reading is clearly for that, you're going to have to feed yourself new messages. You're going to have to kind of breadcrumb your brain by breaking those loops and feeding it something else. Like, thank you. I remember that happened. I know I'm safe now. That happened 12 years ago. That happened 15 years ago. that happened 18 years ago. Remember? That was a long time ago. And when you can try to put like distance and say out loud the distance of time from when the event happened to where you are now, that helps close the loop and gives your brain a new message. Your brain is like, oh wait, yeah, 15 years? Oh yeah, okay, we can stop thinking about that. And before you know it, boom, you are just looking at Netflix, chillaxing, thinking about something else. And then you can move on. And then the next time your brain has a little bit of a false alarm, say if you have PTSD, things like that, um, remember, break the loop immediately so it doesn't hurt so much mentally and physically, right? And then give yourself the new message. Thank you so much. Get on outside. Wow, look at these trees. Ah, thank you so much for that memory. That happened 25 years ago. And now here we are. Wow, keep walking. Boom, that's it. This is how you get out of that. This is how you break the loop of trauma, essentially. Um, and for those of you who, thank goodness, do not have trauma, that's great. But it seems like this video is mostly going to be for my lovely Aries bad daddies, my bad daddies, my baddies who are, being these warriors in life, right? And sometimes, well, if you're a warrior, that means a sword or two is going to get flung toward you. And you might get pierced. But guess what? You survived it, right? So you're doing great. Just remember, you can combat and keep going and stay here because anytime you have those negative thoughts, it's just your body going through a false alarm, right? We're going to break that loop and get into nature or anything else. If you can't immediately go into nature, something else that is immediately calming. Even if you just stick your head outside and just smell the fresh air, look at the plants. Remember, you and your body are a somatic mammal. So anything you're exposed to physically through scent, things like that, is gonna affect your body. So I promise you, if you go outside, even just for like a second, it's gonna, it will flip the switch of that particular memory or that flashback. It will. And then you're gonna feed yourself the new message to remind your brain, hey, that happened like maybe a long time ago, or even if it was weeks or a day ago. Look, you've got distance in between. Especially if it's something that happened years ago, when you just refeed your brain, hey, remember, thank you so much for reminding me of that, but that happened a long time ago, and look at where we are now. Always end it with look at where we are now, or look at what we're doing now. That's gonna be your key, babe. Trust me, I know from experience, okay? So, this resonated and helped you in any way, please let me know in the comments. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, because we, again, are a community of about 4,000 plus people, growing strong every single day. There are more and more people that join this community. So, especially if you're someone who's working on an exciting project or just something you want to share, something you want a little feedback on or whatever, go ahead and put it in the comments down below, and you can put it into the community tab as well. I'm having hiccups as well. So thank you for being here, my lovely fellow Aries. I will see you next time. Keep going, warrior. You got this.